Hey, 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 it's Sarah Jane. 3 more days of the 28-day Active Appreciation Challenge. Welcome, welcome. Today we are going to be talking about appreciating fear and how to stop scaring yourself. So that sounds like something that you would be interested in tuning into. Stick around, tag a friend, share the post. Share that we're live. Come on in. Come on in. Hey, hey, hey. Post your comments. Give me some thumbs up, some hearts. Tell me that you can hear this. Thank you for joining me. We're coming to an end of another cycle, another 28 days of active appreciation. Hi, Joanne. Nice to see you here. Let me know what you're actively appreciating today. Good morning, Donna Kay. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you all. And where are you stuck in fear right now? I'm curious. Post in the comments below. Hi, Christina. Let me know, what are you afraid of right now? Let's work through some of this. This is your opportunity to ask me anything, because I am sick and tired of watching beautiful, intelligent women beat up on themselves and hold themselves back in waiting and procrastinating and fear. And I know that it's not the money and the pixels and the Facebook likes that you're in business for. And without the internal work, without going through the pain, the growing pains, it means nothing if you're not in an expression of living in your truth. So here I am, showing up, appreciating a fine place to live for a few weeks. Awesome, Celeste. Awesome. You are so deserving of that. So, what's scaring you? Post in the comments. Let's tag a friend. Share this post. Let's get this conversation going. Because I don't want you to keep scaring yourself. I want you to really appreciate your fear. And stop beating yourself up, because all you're doing is you're living into a self-fulfilling prophecy of lack and scarcity and abundance and I can't, as they say in South Africa. And you kill your dreams before you even begin. And your mind, have you noticed after how many days we've been going and all the work you have done in your life up until this point, everything you've done has prepared you for this moment of stepping up, appreciating. Great. Yeah. Yes, have you noticed that your mind will always focus on... somebody's just messaging me here. Pain in your neck? What's the value of creating a pain in your neck? Miss Lynn. So yeah, remember, your mind is always going to focus on what you're going to lose. It's always trying to keep you safe. Nervous about funding my life as an artist, finding a place to live. You're in the right place, Celeste. This community, this tribe is full up of beautiful, creative, inspirational sparks of magic. Alchemists really stepping into their work, and you're in the right place if you're looking for support to know that you can make a great living. Lack of patience and understanding of others while we get to undo fear. Lack of patience and understanding of others while we get to undo fear. Expecting us to quickly just get over it. Absolutely, yeah. So that's where loving yourself, going deep down, Christina, is the mastery of allowance, kindness, honor, trust, gratitude. All those 5 cornerstones of consciously building relationships, not just with yourself, but with the environment, and something that I think we continue to deepen and grow into and expand. My pleasure, Stacey Hoffa. Oh, hope you had a great birthday. So, any questions today? What would you like to know? Because just remember, your brain is always going to keep you, your nervous system, your past experiences, your stories, and we talked about stories the other day. Where are your stories, your past, actually keeping you out of being present to create a phenomenal future for yourself? This is where you need the mindsets and the skills so that you don't fuck yourself over again and again and again. And you know, you'll do well. I had a client today who was doing really, really well. She's like 10 times to her business, and she had one of her best months ever, and she said, I'm so scared. And I said, you know, it's like, what's underneath the fear was the fear that maybe it won't happen again. And I speak about this often in the context of sexual appreciation. Hi, Riki. When you're living from your sexuality, from your Shakti, from your sexual chakra, your creation is limitless. Creation is limitless. You are abundant in what you are willing to create. My husband said to me last night, oh gosh, you were sleep talking again, and you were thrashing around, and you were talking at the top of your voice. And I was like, well, why weren't you taking notes? You know, some of the best creations I do are in my sleep. And I was thinking, okay, maybe I need to get a voice activator that actually records my creations while I'm in astral travel or dream state, or going back to change something that perhaps was not my best choice in another lifetime. So can you relate to that? You know, really being afraid of, oh, what, you know, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? I had another client who commented that she had one of her base turnouts to one of the events that she had ever, and she hadn't posted anything on her Facebook group since that event because she was afraid that she wasn't going to exceed that level of success that she'd had. So here's a great question for you. If you've got a pen, you might want to write this down. Ask yourself this, if you can relate to any of those fears, you know, the expectation of letting yourself down. It's just a story, it's not the truth. But here's the question. Has your level of awareness exceeded your expectation? And remember, people don't really break our hearts, they break our expectations. So there is no disappointment, there is no impatience when you know that people are going to show up and do exactly what they're going to do. And it has nothing to do with what you're creating. They get to choose to choose whatever they're choosing. So, you know, freedom doesn't come. We talk about freedom as something that's outside of ourselves, that if we just have more money, then we'll be free to travel, or then we'll be able to do the things we want to do. And I want to kick you in the pants today and give you some really strong medicine to say, stop waiting for that. Freedom is an inside job. You set yourself free the minute you let go of your stories, the minute you unlearn all these lies that you've been trying and forcing and pushing to make true for yourself, that are actually lies, and half the time they're not even yours. You're afraid of not succeeding. Yeah, and this is beautiful and vulnerable. So thank you for sharing. Keep commenting, keep putting your posts, your questions below, so that we can really get into this in a little bit more depth. You know, I think this is again, it's a very personal experience of how do you define success. If you had no point of reference of what success looks like, or menopause, or aging, you know, I've got turning 51 on Sunday, which was the reason why I gifted you this 28-day challenge, because the years before I had done a 30-day self-love appreciation with daily prompts, and I realized that people were falling off it. They weren't taking accountability and commitment to keep going the path and deepening into the practice. You need the practices. You need the systems and the structure and the anchors and the container to keep you on track when you're wanting to fall off the wagon. So what does success look like for you? You know, you might want to journal a little bit about that. You know, and another one, you know, when I look at success, don't measure success by the amount of likes that you get, or that people don't respond to your posts. A lot of time I show up on this and I don't get any response, or nobody shows up. I show up for myself, and I have to speak to the part of my ego that wants the acknowledgement, that wants to be seen, that wants to be making a positive impact, that doesn't like being on her own, sitting with my own stuff and my own pain, which is why I think a lot of us get into the healing arts in the first place, is that, you know, we are our best clients. So just know, freedom doesn't come from a checklist, or of something that's outside that you have to check off your to-do list. It comes from in here. It comes from in here. And what motivates you, it's not in the how, it's in the why you want it in the first place. What is it that you're seeking? I think Michael Beckwith says it so beautifully, that God doesn't call in the qualified, he qualifies the called. Do it for you. Stop scaring yourself and stop dishonoring your gift and the people that are actually waiting for you to get over your bullshit and show up. No one can live their purpose and serve from their highest level when they're simultaneously refusing to believe in themselves and their ability. That's what the 7-day believer challenge that I've run twice is all about. I saw a colleague last night just show up out of nowhere, put out a webinar, and then wanted to invite people in to a 21-day, very similar to this, for a price. And I thought, wow, where am I not seeing the value of giving something away for free just because other people say when you give things away for free, people can't receive it or actually actively participate and do the work because they see no value in it unless you've got some skin in the game. And that's something that I sort of pendulate from one side to the other to say, don't let that stop you from showing up generously. Give generously. Do it because you can, because you are constantly out creating all the time. There's always going to be more that's going to come through you. But if you're not owning your value for you, if you can't go deep down, no one's going to be able to fulfill you or set you free from that belief. Okay, your beliefs and that you had, there are no limiting beliefs. To me, there are just beliefs and stories that we had to maintain at some time to get us to where we are right now. It's still a choice, just as not choosing is a choice. But stop making the money or I can't afford or I don't have the time or permission from somebody else to hold you back from investing in yourself. Stop shrinking down and stop looking at things happening to you. They're happening because of you. They're happening because of you. And if they're not happening if you're not aligned either. So, what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do to change that? And I'm curious, so please post your comments. Please actively participate with me today. And if you're listening to this replay, post your comments. I reply to all of them. I'm here to share what I know with you. There's birds dancing and flying outside my window. Doubt is just based in illusion. It's just a paradigm. And yet you're using it as a massive tool of destruction against yourself rather than looking at it as something that's distracting you from what you're here to do and what you need to do in order to get yourself to the next place. So if you're unable to identify success, it could be a fact that you're not going to be able to repeat it. You need to know what your what is. And you can't keep giving up. You can't give up on yourself. There is no plan B. If you have a plan B, you're never going to implement an action and actually get plan A out in the world. Keep going with my portraits. Absolutely. You're such a talented artist. And what a beautiful gift to have a portrait done of a beloved pet that's no longer with us. Get going. Absolutely. Get the next one finished. Yes. And love what you're doing, because if you're out of alignment, and I say this often, if you're not doing what you love, and I'm not saying that everything in entrepreneurial path is fun to do, but until you can actually get to the momentum where you are making great money so that you can pay other people that are great at an aspect that you're not so great at, we have to do it all ourselves, which is why I also get pissed off with people in marketing telling you that you need a funnel. When you're a one-man show, you do not have the money or the time to sit and wait to build a funnel. Okay, that's why I work on a reverse funnel system, because I get that there's just you and you have to make your business work for you and employ your mind to make that happen, even when you're afraid. So if if you don't have it, if you don't have that grit, if you don't have the foundation down strong, if you haven't got the mindset and you don't have the stamina, you will quit. You're not going to make it. So don't even bother, and this might sound really, really harsh, but don't even bother setting a target if you're not committed. We talked about commitment yesterday. You have to be willing to see it through no matter what. And it does get tough, I know that. There are days when I don't want to do the work. There are days when I would rather not. But you have to keep showing up. So making great money. What are you saying stops you, Roxanne? So making great money again. Will I feel more comfortable traveling and going out in the world again? I don't like to travel anymore, even in the UK. Yeah, so consider this a kick in your pants to tap into envisioning. Do some futuring, right? Use the Gamma meditation that I have on SoundCloud and allow yourself, do the daily journaling. This is the rituality and the anchors to remind you why you get up in the morning and why you have a life. I'm busy sort of writing a blog for Sunday about birthdays and how it took a near death, it took me nearly dying to actually start appreciating being alive, being here to celebrate every single day of my life rather than take it all for granted. Because we think we're lucky, or we think, maybe things don't come easy, or things come too easily for you. Something bad's going to happen. We're always stopping and self-sabotaging ourselves. So, start journaling. Examine your thoughts. Don't ignore it. Sit with the pain. I think we spoke about that a couple of days ago. A lot of the time, the mistakes I see so many women make is that they're in avoidance. They're pretending that it's not happening. And they don't take that next step to execute. They don't take that next action step from the question of, what does my business require of me today? What does my body need me to do? And you have to be willing to ask those questions and build that awareness muscle. My pleasure. My pleasure. So who has any questions? Who has any questions? Because you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days that you feel down. You're going to have days that you want to quit. But, what do you need? Because, what is it that you're going to be freaking unstoppable, unfuckwithable, undefinable, the rule breaker, the maverick, the creator, the light bringer, the sun, because you are all of that. And the minute you start to do that, that's when you actually get traction, you get the attention, you stand out from the sameness. So everybody repeating the same old garbage over and over again. And it's going to make people wonder, what the fuck are you doing? How do I get to slay my own inner bullshitter? How do you change from poverty, I think you mean poverty, Celeste. How do you change from poverty to abundant worldview with consistent action? That's such a great question, because I don't believe that, we're part of this unified collective consciousness that right now is running us from this collective fear that there is not enough, that there is scarcity, that there, things are not always what they seem, Celeste. And this is why I am such a big believer on mastering the inner demons, getting down to the root cause, looking at, take some time perhaps to journal about your ancestral financial inheritance and your familial inheritance. What did your parents used to say to you as a child about money? Where did that come from, those attitudes and beliefs and point of views that you are not worthy of having a great life and having an abundant life? Were you told that you were selfish, or that it was that it wasn't okay to take more than your fair share? And really, really get curious about that. Be the observer. The problem with the world, everybody overthinks everything. Just shut off your mind and spend your life being happy without questioning. Great awareness, Vito. And if it was that easy, none of us would be stuck in this perpetual pattern that's epidemic in the world right now of shutting down the mind. Okay, that's why addiction and depression is such an epidemic, and obesity too, because people are literally trying to numb their bodies down to switch their minds off with the sugar, with the alcohol, with the television, with the Facebook. So I'm curious to know, because we know what the problem is, and that's where people are looking for solutions to get them closer to pleasure and further away from pain. And to me, I think the only way through to pleasure, to being fulfilled, to being free, to living your legacy is through pain, through challenges. And stop trying to prove. Remember, I always say nothing to hide, nothing to prove. Stop trying to prove that you're a great problem solver. Our society rewards us for being great problem solvers from the day we go to school. Oh, you're such a great problem solver. 1 + 1 is 2. Well, actually, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. So if you don't have any problems to solve, and this is where I see so many of my clients that come to me in crisis and in overwhelm and total adrenal fatigue, is that they are exhausted from creating problems as a way to justify their worth. So if you were no longer creating your life from trauma, drama, and emergency, if there were no problems, who would you be? And I'd love to see some of your comments about that below. Awesome, Roxanne. An art studio, beautiful. My answer, I'm not trained in oil painting. Well, what an adventure that could be. What an adventure that could be. It's just like, would you be willing to give yourself the pleasure, the please and the sure of allowing yourself to play with different mediums? That's just a story. It's like being homeless. You're not homeless. You just have less home. It's a choice. And yet we stop ourselves from having the pleasure of experiencing a new medium or a new way of being in the world. And you might want to go back into the 7-day belief challenge and go back into the experience challenge that you did and do it again. That work is powerful because it gets results. So what? Where's the yes and? Yes and I love it. So I want you to type that in the comments, Roxanne. I'm not trained in oil painting yet, and I love it. Right? How much different does that frequency feel like in your body? Oh, I love the smell of oil paint. It just takes too long to dry. I love watercolors. You can make a lot more mistakes with oil because you just get to put more on top of it than you can with watercolors. So what if it could be an adventure to mix it up a little and get out of that story? Okay, so just know that when we listen to our intuition, we're really guided into excuse me, I think I'm getting and that's an interesting one. I was about to say I think I'm getting a cold. And I'm not surprised because my daughter had it for the last couple of weeks. She's this real big chesty thing going around. Interesting thing that a lot of these kids that are highly sensitive are coming up with an expression of respiratory issues and coughs and sore throats at the moment. There's a lot of grief that's being released on the planet, and these little guys are so in touch with their feelings. And then I went off to Neisner, and my clients were coughing and spluttering, and their housekeeper got it, and I managed to not. And I'm always used to be really proud of the fact that I never really got sick with anything, but I had that belief when I, being an entrepreneur my whole life, that I couldn't afford to get sick, because if I got sick, then I wouldn't be bringing in money. And it took me a while to work on that old mindset and shift from that space of, well, what if I could allow myself rest? And what if I could allow myself time off? Because money comes to me easily and effortlessly, even when I sleep. And when I started to do that, I could celebrate every time my body needed to update all the information in its files, because all these microbes, all these bacteria and viruses are mutating at such a rapid rate at the moment that we need to actually have a dose. You know, it's kind of like having a little bit of venom, so that your body knows what to do with it. And I did Campum, as some of you know, a couple of months ago, and I could, really felt it boosted my immune system. There's new mutations of viruses and bacteria and all sorts of news all the time. So, we don't always catch ourselves until after we've gone into it, just like I just did. So practice lightening up, making fun of yourself, of, oh my gosh, cute, not bright, like I talked about yesterday, and just catch yourself. Catch yourself in that moment of saying, I don't know how to paint in oils, and I love it. Or, gosh, I can feel my body's actually working on this latest, updating its data banks on all the new mutations in the microbes. Or, oh crap, I'm getting flu. Yay! My body's doing a really, really good job exercising its immunity. All those little T cells, all those little fighter soldiers are needing to get a little exercise right now. And then we don't have to be sick and tired as a reason and justification of not going into the unknown, right? To really appreciate fear and appreciate doubt as just a catalyst for us to look deep down and see what's underneath it. Am I making sense? Give me some love. Solar plexus, yeah. Trusting your intuition, Roxanne, that's awesome. So listen to that. Listen to your body. It's your greatest consciousness facilitator. It never lies, and it will make you right. So if your belief system is that I can't afford to get sick, like mine was, are you actually damaging your immunity? Just a question. So let your intuition take you into that place of what it is that you want and what you desire, so that you can get to know. Sorry, someone's texting me. So that you can get to know the how, right? You have to know your what. And then the how is the adventure of a new experience, of falling forward, not failing, falling forward fast, so that you can get the experience and decide whether you're going to move or pivot or change degree, one degree shift at a time. Okay, and that way you can start to take action from that place, instead of thinking, as Vita was saying, thinking about what we should be doing from a place of being afraid that there's something we're going to lose if we don't. Not all the shoulds and not all the places where you think you need to move toward are necessarily the places you need to move toward. Donna, that's funny. All right, so any questions? Any questions? Because I really want you to come into bliss, come into that ecstatic state of envisioning a future that is abundant, okay, that is yours for the taking, but you have to be willing to ask. And that's really what this 28-day challenge has all been about. My intention was to actively give you an appreciative boost and shift your perception, get a wider viewpoint, so that you can trust what's true and right for you, and chuck out the rest, which includes people that can't see you or are not there in a supportive role. Okay? We need to get rid of that sometimes and know that doubt is just an illusion. Fear, irrational fear, is not your friend. Okay? So you want to be looking at, is this true? I love the work of Byron Katie. It's a really great place to start, is to go through the process of asking, is it true? And if it is, what is it that you need to make it work for you? I need 5 new clients rather quickly. Takes sales of my program. Awesome. So what do you need, Joanne, to do that? What would you be willing to just see the doors open for business? So, visualize you putting your open sign, you open the doors, and all the people that can see the value of your work actually finding you. So where can you increase your visibility in the container that you hold, or the invitation of that what you have may be that thing that person that doesn't even know that you exist yet can find you. Okay? So just remember, to follow what feels good for you. Awesome. Finishing. Finally. Yay. New website marketing. Great. It's just like when you're aligned with your why you're doing what you're doing in the first place, when you're coming from a place of truth and you believe that what you have to offer matters, you don't need the fancy copy and the marketing or even a website. I always tell my clients, don't even consider investing your money into a website unless you have, that you're really clear on your message, so that they don't have to waste hundreds of thousands of dollars like I did messing around, having websites made because I listened to a business coach and didn't listen to my intuition when things started to feel a little heavy and off. And when it was finally done, I was like, oh shit, what have I done? And I pulled the whole thing down because it just wasn't me. Even the images, that it just was not me. I'm a barefoot, scruffy, wild African woman that is barefoot in her boardroom. And I'm not this made up glamour puss that, it just wasn't me, and it was awful. So what if, because there is never completion, just like I was saying, I get to go around the world another 365 days. What if there is no completion? We are a work in progress, and we have a choice, to opt out or to stay and invest in our own growth. Yeah, awesome, Joanne. Post the link. I would love to see it, and let us know what it is that you are brilliant at. There may be some people here that could do with your support and your words of wisdom. So just know, question everything. Just question everything, because kindness feels really, really good. And what feels good inspires us always to act in our own best interest, but from a place of generosity. So we say lead with generosity, because there's more where that came from always. And just question everything. The assumptions that you, and the projections, and we talk about this in the shadow dancing class, and in a lot of my other programs. My pleasure. Is, where are you creating an assumption about yourself that you're not ready, that you're not finished, that you're not complete, or that it's, that addiction to perfection. I'm a recovering A-type perfectionist, and I know workaholism is one of my vices as well. So, where can you start looking at the untruth of what's holding you back into fear? And just go imperfectly anyway. I love the work of Brene Brown, and she always says that where perfectionism is, shame is always near. So, really deepening into that's the inner work of questioning your filters and your lenses and how you how you see things. What is your worldview? What is your worldview on you? Those mirrors. Are you using smoke and mirrors to hide that people can't find you? Or are you willing to use mirrors as the alchemy of refracting your light back in the world? Can you see the purity of your heart? Or are you seeing things through your doubts and your fears? So question your identity with the ego, with the false self, with the inner saboteurs. And if you are identifying with your false self, with the waiting, with all the ways that we distract ourselves from staying on our own compass direction, on our North Star, look at that. because that's not who you are. Truly, it's not. It's not you. Thank you, Mariette. I love you too. So question why you're holding the belief that you don't believe in yourself. Get into the belief challenge. If you were on that 7-day, I know this freaking shit works because I saw the results from the people that were committed to see it through, that stayed for 7 days and actually took action even when they were afraid. How can we own success without an ego? Wow, I love that question. Through love successfully. Yeah, so again, there's a lot in there, Roxanne, and I love the question. And I think I've even written a blog about this. I'll have to go and dig it out. It's a curious one that, again, I think is part of the mastery of being human and actually realizing the frailty of our humanity without an ego. Because the ego also, the ego, whenever you kind of go into ego, the ego, when you start shifting and up leveling in your life, the ego wants you to go back and shrink back and play small because it thinks you're going to kill it. So I would invite you into practicing playing with that ego and allowing it to have a voice, because there's nothing wrong. It's part of our makeup. It's part of what makes us human. So I don't want to kill the ego. I want to befriend the ego, and I want to give it a voice so that it can be quiet and it can play and work with my intuition, my inner knowing. Does that make sense? And yeah, and love it. Love your ego. Thank it. Appreciate it. And then follow your heart and your gut and your intuitive knowing anyway. Okay, I like to sit down and have coffee with doubt and fear. I have a whole big coffee party in the morning after I have had my coffee. And I go, okay, you have 5 minutes to tell me all the reason justifications why you need to be afraid today. And I listen. And I go underneath it and I really get curious. Because there's always a gift down there if you just are brave enough to go down. And listen, just tune into that. Question why you think you're blocked. Question why you're holding the belief that you do, that you can't be abundant or clear or masterful at what you do, or build and grow things that you're inspired in what you see in other people. Create from that. Question why you think you're blocked, or what the value or the punishment is of the block. Okay, the roadblock. Sometimes roadblocks are there to protect us. And if you just think about what a roadblock is, there's a detour. On the detour, it might take you longer, kind of like life. It isn't a straight line. We're all counterintuitive creatives. And there is no line, right, of stepping over the line or breaking the line or walking the line. That we need boundaries, strong boundaries. And the gifts are often in the detours. It used to be such a show-off. So would you be willing to be a show-off again and have fun with it? Be willing to draw attention to you and have people judge you, Roxanne? Yeah? How much fun could you have doing that? So just know there are choices, and it's an awareness where you need to be conscious and aware of what you're feeding yourself from within. And look at that, because the truth is that we're only blocked because we believe ourselves to be. I'm stuck. Well, what do you love about being stuck? What's the value of being stuck? What's the punishment for being stuck? Are you really stuck? Or are you taking a temporary pause or a well-deserved rest and making yourself wrong for it? Where are you not allowing yourself to follow your body's impulses? Same as like getting sick. We're not really sick. We're out of alignment or congruence with honoring our body's need to rest, to upgrade its microbial database that is so necessary to keep us vital and alive. So, I think I'm done. If you don't have any other questions, I think that's good for today. I'm kind of wondering if you're feeling complete. And I just want you to know, I want you to appreciate fear, and I want you to appreciate doubt, because sometimes doubts come on really, really strong because we're not listening, or because we're ready for something so much bigger and greater than we would allow ourselves to imagine. So our fear is always going to show up because of there's a vulnerability in that. Okay? It means you have to settle into something deeper. You have to go deep down and question if you can hold that. And if you can't, get someone who can support you and stand the fire until you can. Can you trust that? Can you be vulnerable to make space for what's coming toward you that you deeply, deeply desire right now? And make the demand, make the commitment, write it down. That was yesterday's homework or play work. And know that even though you're afraid, it's going to transform you. How is your choice? And deep down, deep, deep, deep down in this beautiful body of yours, there's something that you are wanting and desiring, right? It's calling to you. And you may also be feeling the energy and the emotion that goes along with that and misidentifying it as something to be afraid of. Okay, when it's actually excitement. Make sense? So, we get to say goodbye to the sun and hello to the night, and tomorrow we get to have a whole new experience. Everything is a choice, and you are the only one that has the power of choice to choose. And you can choose sadness or grief or letting go or happiness or joy, and you can have all of that about 20 times. If you just look at a child, baby, they allow themselves to freely express that and move through that as this big wide-eyed adventure. And then that meaning that we can't live in our false self anymore gets stronger and stronger and stronger, just as it was my deepest desire that you being on this journey. And I'm so grateful that you've been with me for 25 days, 3 to go, to explore some of this and go deeper into this with me. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for giving yourself that, and for being such great company. Because I think we grow a lot faster and we go further together, so much further than we can apart. And it's time to come back to the heart and see it. Just stop this separation sickness of thinking you have to do it all on your own, okay? So let yourself have the space to give space to your false truths, give them acknowledgement, appreciate them, and then sink in a little bit deeper, okay? Look with a more truthful eye to see what is before you. What is it that you're wanting? And lean into that. Lean into that, because the more and the more you practice, you train in this life that is yours to live, the less room there is to see any distractors like doubt, like fear, as something you need to kill, and you get to stop killing yourself. Okay? I want you to live into your best life. I see you, I honor you. Thank you for you. Post your comments if you have any. Share this with people that you think may benefit from it. I appreciate that when you do. Thank you for those of you who have already shared it. And just know this will stay up in my YouTube channel, and I might end up putting it together as a 28-day program, and I might, shock and horror, actually put a price on it, if that means that people actively use it. All right, guys, I love you. Stop speaking bullshit into your life. Choose you. Take the action and go do it. Love you. Bye.